2025, man, 2025. We predicted that this was going to be a pretty rough year for Dawah. Long story short, several years ago, Yasser Qadhi exposed the holes in the narrative and destroyed a lot of people's confidence in the Quran. Well, now we have Holes in the Narrative 2.0, where he destroys their confidence in the Hadith. And it's the same thing. Yasser Qadhi, for one brief moment in his life, tells the truth. And the moment he opens his mouth and tells the truth, all the Dawah guys have to declare war on him because they're worried about him destroying the faith of Muslims. So that happened with the Holes in the Narrative for just a little bit of his entire career. He was finally honest because he was forced into that position. He was forced into that position where everyone's paying attention to him and he's being called for emails that Fareed leaked. He couldn't just blurt out the standard narrative anymore. He had to admit that Muslims have been misled. He had to admit that Muslims have been misled. He had to admit that Muslims have been misled by these claims. They bought into a bunch of Dawah lies. He did not want to acknowledge the truth, but he let way too much out. The Muslim community lost their minds, and so the Dawah guys had to attack him. Shame on him. And then he had to try and save face and so on. And now we've got 2.0, where he blasts the Hadith and says, basically, Islamic Hadith methodology is garbage to academics, and no serious academic would take this seriously. Basically, Islamic Hadith methodology is garbage to academics, and no serious academic would take this seriously. And so he acknowledges he has to live a double life. He lives one life where he's interacting with scholars, non-Muslim scholars and so on. And then when he's talking to Muslims, he has to turn all that off and just operate by faith. So the academic Yasser Qadhi knows the Hadith cannot stand up to scrutiny, but the devout Muslim Yasser Qadhi, he just accepts it all and quotes the Hadith as if this is actually the words of Muhammad. Yasser Qadhi, let me just say, if you never do anything to help us ever again, just know that you've done plenty. You've done plenty.
This is a topic that when you're the beginning student of knowledge, you're like, what is all of this going on here? When you go a little bit more, you learn to simply memorize what your teachers say and regurgitate it out. You learn to simply memorize what your teachers say and regurgitate it out. You learn to simply memorize what your teachers say and regurgitate it out. And you don't fully comprehend. When you do a deep dive is when things get very, very awkward and difficult.
When you're at the very beginning of becoming a student of knowledge, you're actually starting to study the text of the Quran and things like that. You go, what is all this stuff? Why? Because you've been told all your life, no variance, perfect preservation, dot for dot. And then as soon as you start studying, they start talking about different Qurans and the ahruf. And then you start learning from your scholars and they tell you, oh, this is easy. We have all this stuff figured out. Yeah. And you memorize this stuff. And then, of course, if you do a deep dive, you study even more, you start realizing, these explanations don't make any sense at all. They don't actually work. Who's done more damage to Dawah, Muhammad Hijab or Yasser Qadhi? It's very different kinds of damage.
That's exactly what I just wanted to say. That it's a different kind of damage. So it's hard to compare because the two have a very different kind of doing damage to Islam, to Dawah, and they're both doing it very well, honestly. On an academic level, Yasser Qadhi has done more damage. On another level, on a more popular level, Muhammad Hijab has done significantly more damage. So they both are very good players in their own field,
I think when they team up, that was very, very helpful. It was very helpful to Muslims to become ex-Muslim.
My preliminary conclusion is there is no middle ground. And historical critical method and isnad analysis are two diametrically opposed ways of looking at early Islam and reports. And I don't find much commonality between them.
There's no middle ground. They're just completely opposed ways of doing things. The historical critical method, that's what historians use. And then isnad criticism is the Muslim method. In theory, I guess, try to reconcile them or try to bridge them. And he's saying does not work.
So in some areas, there's good, healthy overlap. In some areas, we'll politely agree to disagree. And in some areas, they're diametrically opposed. This is my preliminary analysis. And I would love to be proven wrong. And I would love for somebody to come and say, no, you are absolutely incorrect. And we can prove hadith via the historical critical method. And this is how we do it.
Spoiler alert, that's never going to happen, Yasser Qadhi, because your hadith methodology is garbage. So no one's ever going to refute what you're saying right now, namely that they're diametrically opposed.
I'm a little bit pessimistic. And I don't see there to be much of a commonality. So we're going to have to simply say, if you believe in the, that the Sunnah has been preserved by the Hadith, you're going to have to follow a certain epistemology, a certain paradigm. And if you are, like, as you're aware, and you're an academic channel, right? You're well aware, nobody in the academy affirms the Muslim Sunni science of Hadith. Nobody in the academy affirms the Muslim Sunni science of Hadith. Nobody in the academy affirms the Muslim Sunni science of Hadith.
Did you catch that? No one in the academic realm affirms that this is a good methodology that should be taken seriously. No, once you get out of the Muslim mindset of like a sheikh and what he says, anything more critical, no one takes this seriously.
It is considered to be completely discredited. It is considered to be completely discredited. It is considered to be completely discredited.
Wow, man, he just has to double down with the wording.
That's what he said. That's what he just. Everyone, that just happened. You are not imagining this. You are not dreaming. Allah's not tricking you into believing that just happened. That really happened. It's considered completely discredited by actual historians, real historians. People who are trained historians. They look at that methodology and they think it's a joke. It is a complete joke to them. Yeah, we've known that. Yasser Qadhi just admitted it. Guys, if you go back to like 2005, 2008 or something like that, look at what we were saying back then and look at what Muslims were saying back then, and then look at who turned out to be right. Back then, they were saying perfect preservation right down to the letter of the Quran. We were saying that's a total lie. Who was proven right? We were saying the scientific miracle stuff is a bunch of nonsense. They even admit that now. And we were saying you got all sorts of problems with hadith methodology. It's all screwed up. And now you've got Yasser Qadhi admit. Are you guys noticing a pattern? We disagree, and it takes 10, 15, 20 years to argue about this stuff, but we keep getting proven right every single time, and they get proven to be liars every single time. Why do you still trust these guys? Why? If you see this and you see the guys who are telling that these guys are disagreeing and you side with the Muslims because you're a Muslim, and who turns out to be a liar 100% of the time? Your guys, your da'is, they turn out to be your scholars. They turn out to be the ones lying. Why does this not bother you? The fact that it doesn't bother the ummah, it just looks like you guys like love lies and you just prefer the lies. It just looks like you guys like love lies and you just prefer the lies. It just looks like you guys like love lies and you just prefer the lies. And we've got ample confirmation of that, because whenever someone like Yasser Qadhi is forced to tell the truth for 5 seconds, you guys lose your minds. How dare you tell us the truth? We only love lies. It's the kuffar who tell us the truth. Are you kuffar? Are you a kafir now? That's what it looks like. What's interesting to me is they cling to this methodology and they think this is the only way to do history. But what's interesting is it's not. This didn't come from Allah. This isn't something that came from Allah or Muhammad or something like this. This is something that later Muslims invented, and you guys take it as foundational to your religion, such that you're a heretic if you reject it. You're a heretic, perhaps an apostate, if you do not accept this man-made methodology. It's some guys who hey, we got a problem here because we keep making up stories to justify anything we want to believe. Let's come up with a methodology. Hey, let's check the list of names, because obviously if we think someone could have fabricated a story, there's no way he could fabricate a list of names. So that'll prove that's how we prove that something is authentic. That's something that was invented by human beings, and you take it as foundational to your religion, and you'll blast Yasser Qadhi and call him a heretic for rejecting something that human beings invented. Again, it just didn't come from Allah, didn't come from Muhammad, and it's foundational to your religion.